Hi, and thanks for watching another Leadership Minute with Chad Bumgarner. Now, in the last video that I produced, we spoke about the S in the S.M.A.R.T Goal Methodology, and the S stood for specific, because we want our goals to be specific so that we're clear about what we're trying to obtain. So now, this video is going to talk about the M in the S.M.A.R.T Goal Methodology, and the M stands for measurable. Because, of course, with all goals, we want to measure to make sure that we're on track to reach that goal. So how do we measure how well we're doing? Well, in this situation, if you recall, the last video, we made the example of being salesmen. And in that video, we said that the specific goal was to make 75 cold calls. And out of those calls, make at least 10 sales. So, moving on with the S.M.A.R.T methodology, the M, again, is for measurable. So how do we measure this? Well, with the 75 calls, this measurement should be pretty obvious. At the end of your day or your shift, you should have a list of 75 names and or companies that you called. And you just indicate that you called them by a simple check mark by their name or just cross it out altogether. So that should show you how many people or companies you've called throughout your time. So that takes care of one goal and how to measure one goal. The second goal was to make 10 sales. Now, if you were lucky enough to make 10 sales out of those calls, you should have a list of names and or companies again of the people or companies that were willing to make the commitment to purchase your product. If they said yes and wanted to move forward with the purchase, you would simply cross that name out or check that name or circle that name, stating that this is a legitimate sale. And this is the way that you would measure how many sales that you've come up with by the end of the day. So with these two goals, you have two simple ways to measure those goals. Now, we can be a bit more challenging and say, okay, let's say I want to be a bit more productive manager. Okay, let's do something a bit more challenging. How do we measure how well or how better at being productive we are then as opposed to now? Well, there are a couple of ways that you can do that. First thing you can do is what we call feedback. And what you would do is you would just sit down with maybe your coworkers and also maybe your customers and clients and ask them how your performance has been, how your productivity has been. Another way would be to sit down with your manager to see how well you've progressed between a specific time period. You can also look at your work yourself and see the things that you've accomplished. Did you do them in a shorter amount of time? Is the quality of work better than what you've done before? You can do a comparison and contrast yourself. So there are also a couple of ways to measure how better you have become at being a productive manager in this setting. So I hope that these examples gave you a better understanding of the M in the S.M.A.R.T methodology. We want to make sure we measure our goals. This is the only way that we can make sure that we're on track to reaching our goals, is by making sure that we have a way to make them measurable. Again, I hope this helped you, and please look forward to the next video when we talk about achievable. Is the goal achievable? Thanks again for watching, and as always, great leadership equals great results. How are you leading?